So greatness isn't something that you're born with. It's actually something that you build, one decision, one discipline, and one belief at a time. The people we admire, the ones who seem to move with ease, with grace, the ones that we look up to, the ones that create wealth and walk in purpose, they all have some things in common. And no, it's not luck. And in this week's episode, I'm breaking down the 8 traits of the great, the inner qualities that not only build wealth, but build you into the kind of person that can hold it. Hey, friends, welcome back to Align for Wealth, the podcast that helps ambitious professionals and busy leaders balancing work, family, and big goals build a life that's rooted in peace, purpose, and prosperity. I'm your host, Taydonna Nagel, wealth alignment coach, finance educator, and founder of Legendary Wealth Builders. So let's talk about what really separates the great from the good. The traits that build not just wealth, but your character. As I share these traits, I want you to think about where you already see these traits within your own self and where you're being invited to grow a little more. So let's start with the first one. Every great thing begins in the mind before it shows up in real life. I truly believe this. So the first trait of the great is vision, the power to see beyond the present, the current, the now. The great, they don't just see what it is, they see what can be. They live from vision, not just circumstances. So wealthy people, they could see beyond the current, the present. They have vision. They can see the future. They can see what has yet to actualize, what has yet to happen. And a lot of people, they don't have vision. They can literally only see what's happening right now, what's happening currently, what's happening in their life at the moment. But the great, they're not stuck and bound by what's happening currently, presently, in the moment. They can see what's possible. They can see what's going to happen. They can see so much further than beyond their current circumstances. And that's really a superpower. Because wealthy people, great people, they think in decades, not just for the week, for the month, for the moment. They invest in the version of themselves that they're becoming, not just where they are, but for who they're going to be and what the vision is showing them about who they're going to be. And you can't prosper if you cannot see beyond the present moment. You have to be able to see so much further than your current circumstances, so much further than this finite moment that we're living in. And once you can see it, the next step really is to trust yourself enough to move forward in it, even if no one else besides you can see what you see. That's a superpower. And that brings me to our second trait. Self-authority. The great don't wait for permission. They give themselves the green light. So a lot of people, they're asking themselves, am I ready for this? So many people, they need permission. They need validation before they make a move. But the great, they don't ask, am I ready? They decide that they're ready and they give themselves permission to move. And so many people, we need everyone to co-sign and validate our decision, our movement, our goals, our next steps. Before we ever take a move, we need to call people up. We need to run it by them to see what they think. We need to journal, meditate, pray on it. And I'm not saying any of those things are incorrect, but we do not need permission to move on our vision, especially from people who don't have the vision and who didn't give us the vision. Now, I'm all about taking some moment to pray on some things, taking some moment to meditate and get clarity. But after you've done that, you need to move. I believe in making a move, and if I'm wrong, then I pivot. But I'm a bust the move, and I don't need anyone's permission in order for me to bust a move. And neither do you. You don't need external validation when you're walking in divine direction, when you're walking in your purpose. There are many times that I just had to take a chance on myself, even dropping out of corporate America, right? I didn't have to ask for permission, even starting a business. But I will be honest, in the beginning, when you're uncertain, when you're unclear, sometimes you are seeking approval or validation from other people because you want people to really support your idea. You want them to cheerlead for you. You want them to be excited about it and say, yes, definitely, you should go for it. But I've realized that the more rooted and secure that I have been in the vision that has been downloaded and deposited into me, the less I need validation. If people support the vision, it's kind of like a bonus. It's like, great. But I was going to do it anyway, whether they supported it or not, because I believe in it. And purpose doesn't need permission, it just needs your participation. So, trait number 3, this one is a doozy for many of us, myself included, is discipline. Discipline is where your dreams meet structure. Greatness requires doing what's necessary and not always what feels easy. Discipline is really understanding that you're not going to always feel motivated to do all the things that you're required to do. You're not going to feel motivated to do all the goals and the steps that's required to bring those goals into fruition. And that's why you need discipline, because discipline is still there when motivation fades. Because let's face it, we are not always motivated. If I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really motivated to record this episode today. I typically record in the daytime when natural sunlight is shining, it's bright outside. But it's been a really busy week for me, and I didn't get to record until Sunday night. But you know what? I'm dedicated to this. I'm devoted to this. It's not about what's easy. It's not about what's convenient. And it's definitely not about what I feel like doing. If I'm dedicated to something, then I have to have the discipline. And sometimes I swap out the word discipline for dedication or for devotion. What are you devoted to? What are you dedicated to? So that's really what you're going to be disciplined in doing. It's hard to be disciplined if you're not really devoted or dedicated to something. So discipline means you need to be consistent, right? You need to actually do the things that you said you're going to do. You need to show up repeatedly, even when it's not exciting, even when it's not fun, even when it's inconvenient sometimes. But you have to honor those commitments to yourself. And that consistency is going to compound over time. Just like in investing, I teach my students about compound interest when it comes to investing. But it's the same thing when it comes to your actions, when it comes to your effort, and it comes to the time that you're devoting to something. That consistency is going to compound over time, both in your wealth and in your worth. Now, trait 4, this is faith. The great move before evidence even shows up. They believe in the promise before they even see the proof. Now, we all know that faith is trusting before you can see. And every great person had to move on faith. That unshakable belief that what they desire is possible. What they're going after is chasing them just like they're chasing it. And wealth typically follows those who move even when the path isn't clear. I believe it's impossible to do great things with little faith. Faith is really your wealth frequency. It keeps you in motion when fear wants to jump up. And I don't believe that faith is the absence of fear. I think a lot of times we are going to have fear. Fear is a normal feeling. It's going to come up. But faith is having that courage to move despite the fear. You don't let the fear handicap you. You don't let the fear stop you. You feel the fear and you keep moving anyway. And that's an incredible trait of the great. Now, moving to our fifth trait, which is integrity. Are you who you say you are? So, integrity is really alignment in action. The great, they don't have to fake success, they embody it. They don't have to flex for the gram, they don't have to flex for other people. They are who they say they are. They follow through, they do what's right, even when no one's watching, right? That's the biggest part. It's one thing to be integral and do what's right when people are watching you, when the magnifying glass is on you. But are you actually doing what's right when no one is watching? To me, that's the most important part, doing what's right when no one is watching you. Because wealth, it flows to the trustworthy, and trust is built on integrity. And I believe that having integrity magnetizes opportunity. So there are opportunities that will be drawn and attracted to you just because you're a person of your word, just because you could be trusted. Now, how many people are talking one talk and walking a different talk? That's not integrity. If your audio is not matching your video, then something's not adding up about that. Trait six is resilience. Every great person has fallen. Every great person have taken an L. The difference is they got back up stronger and wiser. The people that we think are great isn't great because they never failed. Of course they fell. But they're great because they kept going despite the fall. They didn't let the fall keep them down. And sometimes it's really not about the fall, but it's about how fast you get back up. So I remember this quote from back in my corporate America days that said, a setback is just a comeback for a setup. And that's what failure is. Failure is just a comeback for a setup to be better, a setup to be even greater, because we take no losses here, right? The only L's that we take are lessons, not losses. So if you fail, you're failing forward. You're not falling backwards. You're failing forward. And then you're going to get up with that experience, with those lessons, and you're going to do even better the next time. Because that is a trait from the great. Your bounce back. Your bounce back determines your breakthrough. So be a person that is just queen of the bounce back, right? Queen of the breakthrough. So I want you to reframe failures in your life. We all make mistakes, but setbacks are not signs of failures, but moments to pause, to reflect, to learn, and dust your shoulders off and get back going. So the seventh trait is generosity. The great, they understand that wealth expands when it circulates. They're not trying to hoard onto what they have. They're trying to keep pouring back out and circulating. The great understands that wealth is about circulation and not accumulation. Accumulation is a scarcity mindset. I just have to have more and more and more. I'm never going to have enough. The wealthy, the great, they know abundance is available to them. It's more than enough. They give their time, they give their wisdom, they create opportunities, they give value all the time because they know abundance expands when they share it. So the more that they give, the more that they receive. So you can't just be holding on in such a closed hand. You have to keep your hands open to receive, right? A posture of receiving. And you can't receive if you're holding everything so tight. So trust me, you receive more when you release more. And last but not least, the eighth trait is self-alignment. Knowing who you are, what you carry, what you value, and ensuring that your money, your mindset, and your moves all reflect this truth. Living in alignment, part of what the name of this podcast is, right? Align for wealth. Living in alignment means your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your values, they're all moving in the same direction. It's when you can say you are who you say you are. What you believe, what you have, and how you move, they're all in harmony. They operate from your core, from your center, not from your circumstances, because your circumstances can change. One day you could be down, the next day you could be up, and vice versa. But that's not changing who you are at your core. Your circumstances doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. You don't let outside noises dictate your choices. You don't let what other people are saying or doing shape who you are. The great, they don't compare their journey to others. They know that their journey is their own and they move at the pace of their purpose. When you're in alignment, you know what your purpose is. You don't have to chase. You don't have to rush. You don't have to be in competition with anyone else. You don't have to copy because you know who you are. You know what you hold. And you're able to make decisions that honor both your peace and your progress. Because alignment will never ask you to sacrifice your peace for progress, your peace for purpose, your peace for perfection. And when you're in alignment, when something feels off, whether it's a partnership, an investment, your schedule, they don't push through it. They pivot, they take a sacred pause, and they get themselves back into alignment. The great who are in self alignment, they are not pushing through. Now, I want us to segue into our align move of the week, which is a simple, powerful action that you could take to bring your money, mindset, and life into deeper alignment. Because I don't want you to just listen, I invite you to take action. So, this week's align move is I want you to reflect on these 8 traits of the great: vision, self authority, discipline, faith, integrity, resilience, generosity, and self alignment. And I want you to ask yourself, which of these traits are you already embodying? And which one is calling you to operate at a higher version of yourself? Then I want you to choose one of these 8 traits, just one for now, and practice it daily. So, for example, if it's vision and you want to practice having a higher vision, I want you to start writing down your goals. Write down next level, not safe goals. I want them to be bold, audacious goals. Goals that stretch you, really stretch you to complete those goals. I want you to write it down. I want you to visualize it. I want you to think about, how does it feel if you were actually walking that out? What would you need to do? Who would you need to become? Say, for example, it's self-authority. That's the trait that you want to embody. I want you to think about, how could you take bolder actions without waiting for permission, without asking other people, without phoning in a friend or someone else before you take that aligned action that you know you're supposed to take? Because remember, wealth and greatness, they aren't waiting for perfection. It's waiting on you to get in alignment with your next move. So these 8 traits: vision, self-authority, discipline, faith, integrity, resilience, generosity, and self-alignment, they are all your inner wealth code. They're not just qualities to admire, but they're principles to embody. Because when you're aligned within, wealth becomes inevitable. It's like you're a wealth magnet. It's attracted to you. And the great and the wealthy, they aren't waiting for opportunities. They are the opportunity. And so are you. You have everything within you to live in alignment with peace, purpose, and prosperity. You just have to give yourself permission to walk it out, one great trait at a time. And you know what? I have something special for you. Because if you're ready to take this work deeper, to align your mindset, your money, and your moves, I'd love for you to join me inside my Trade to Profit Accelerator. It's my signature program that helps you master the mindset and skill set of investing and trading so you can invest with confidence, clarity, and a strategy. And you can learn more about this in the show notes below. Thanks again for tuning into this week's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, keep walking in peace, purpose, and prosperity. I'll see you next time.